Hey everybody, welcome back. Coyote Jim here, back in the jacked up garage. Sorry it has been a minute or two since we've done anything on the car. We have been occupied putting hardwood floors in the house, so that's taken up some of the time, or all of my time, for working on the car. But we're going to get back on it today, and we're going to pull some more stuff off the engine and see if we can't get this thing spinning here really soon. Hopefully we can. We just happen to pull more and more stuff off the car. So let me show you where we're at, and we'll get a plan for going forward, and let's get on it. Okay, so here's where we're at. It's still not spinning. The oil pan is full of mystery oil, and I've loosened the water pump bolts here. I'm going to go ahead and pull the water pump off and see what it looks like in the the timing chain of gears. And then we're going to pull the oil pan off. Going to drain that fluid out of there, pull the oil pan off, and take a look at what it looks like on the the connecting rods on the crank, and see if that what it looks like there, if that might be holding us up. So that's what we're doing next. Let's get on this water pump, get it out of here, and see what's underneath. Right on. Glove up. Probably going to end up taking that, taking the fuel pump off as well, just so it's out of the way. Have to see if we can't get that line loose. I'm concerned about that one. That's a goofy bend in that one, and I don't really want to try to replicate that. But it looks like that line's shot anyway, so probably just run rubber hose anyhow. All right, so what do we need here? These are all loose, or mostly loose. And I am blocking my own light, so I'm sure I'm blocking your light. Come on, get out of there. Let's try that. Nope, it's even worse. Move this around here. See what that does. I did get a couple questions asked to me. One was, hey Jimmy, don't you own any power tools or pneumatic tools and a cordless impact? And the answer to that is yes, I do. But there's a reason why I don't use it on rusted bolts and nuts, especially when I'm dealing with like head bolts, intake, exhaust, stuff like that. And the reason is with a power tool or an air tool, you just don't have that feel that you have with a hand tool. So if you got a rusty bolt you're trying to pull out of a intake, if you're trying to use an air tool, something with a high torque, chances of just twisting that off down inside the head are a lot higher. Whereas with a hand tool, you can feel when it's either breaking loose, or you can start to feel that just as it tightens back up and starting to twist off, and you can stop what you're doing, run it back down, and work it out rather than twist it off in the head, and then you're into a whole new set of problems. So that's why I'm using hand tools. Plus, I'm old school. I like using hand tools. I also don't like dragging electric cords and charging batteries and an air hose hanging everywhere. Now I will use it when it's appropriate, but for our purposes here, we are going to use hand tools. So these are all the same size, so I'm not paying a whole lot of attention to their location, except these two right here. And they will also be of equal length. So there we go. Is that all of them? I believe a BVR. Well, let's get that light and take a closer look. That's it. So that front of that pump ought to pull off now. course, we need a whack-it tool. So let's go find one. My trusty whack-it tool. Okay, she's loose. Let's see what we got. Oh! What do you think of that? I think she's shot. I think it's shot. When chunks fall out like that, man, I hope the rest of that inside of that water passages don't look like that. But there's a really good chance they do. We'll have to see. That is some nasty stuff. No wonder it wouldn't spin. Alright. Well, let's continue and get the rest of that off. I guess we'll have to pull that balancer, won't we? Yep. Get the rest of that cover off. Not all that thrilled about doing that at this point, but we'll do it. We'll pull the fuel pump. We will pull the balancer and the pulley, and we'll get the rest of that front of that. Get the rest of that water pump off of there. Take that generator bracket off as well. So let's keep on it. Now can we get that back in? Right here with all that crap on there. I might be able to if I can see it. Man, are we gonna be able to get in there? Surely. I don't know if y'all can hear that or not, but that stupid rooster out there will not shut up. There we go. Break that bulb. If that's metal, can't tell if that's a metal, if it's metal or glass. Get on there. There we go. Got him at a little bit of a dangle here. Gotta be close. Come on now. A little bit more to go on the inside bolt. No, it ain't. One more thread here, I guess. That was it. Alright, she's loose. Let's get this bracket out of our way here and we can pull that out. Put you guys on that little tripod. Get you up here closer where you can see some stuff, because that's jacked up. Hold tight. First of all, take a look at that. Yeah. That's nasty. That's going to be a problem. That is going to be a problem. And if it looks like that through the rest of the block, we'll get that water pump off of there and see if we can't glean anything from that. And if it looks like that through the rest of the block, then that's it as well. That engine's going to come out before we do anything else to it. So we're just going to have to see and go from there. So let's finish getting that fuel pump off of there, and then we have to get that bracket off, get the fuel pump off there, the pulley, balancer, and then take the cover the rest of the way off. There's a couple bolts down that come up through the oil pan, I'm sure. So we'll get them out of there too. May have to go ahead and drain the pan before we do that. So let's see where we're at. Get some stuff rolling. Dark in here today. It's going to be a nice day. I should open the door up. Get some natural light coming in here. But that did the trick. Parts. I do like to put bolts back in where I can. That way I don't gotta store them and mark them and tag them and just makes it all easier in the long run. Of course, if you can't get them in, don't matter. You know, I've been thinking too, something that I hadn't really thought about. You know, I was assuming when we started pulling this apart that we were just going to run into a whole bunch of rust in there, in the internals, and I mean, till now we haven't. So, you know, one thing that I wasn't thinking about was 50-year-old oil, right? And if you look at if you can see the rockers and such, what happens to that oil when it gets that old and nasty is it basically turns to glue. And that's why heating it up or putting diesel fuel or some sort of solvent in there can a lot of times break them loose. But in your rod bearings, your crank bearings, they have clearances, and you know that there's a clearance there for oil, and that oil, if it stays in there and you leave it in there for 50 years, it turns to glue, and that can basically lock an engine up as well. Now, I don't think it would lock it up as tight as we're locked up here just by old sticky oil, but you never know. It could be. I mean, these you know, these lifters are going up and down. They're the ones that will move a little bit, but they're really sticky, and the valve guides were really sticky too. So I don't know. We'll see if that may be the case, and we might not have any rust in there. But these heads are coming off anyway. We're going to pull those and see what's down in those cylinders. We just got to prepare ourselves now that stuff's going to start spilling everywhere. So let's get this out of here. We can wiggle it out without doing too much more damage to the vacuum line here, and it looks like you can. That's going to pull out of there because that's broken. And there we have it. Fuel pump, vacuum pump. Not bad. Got some rust on it here from the water pump, but it's just loose. It's just falling down on there. Alright. That'll be a fun rebuild too. Alright. Where are we? Crank pulley. Water pump gasket. We will not be reusing that. Jimmy, are you going to use your impact now? No. No, I is not. I know that'll come loose because I don't get some leverage on it. Light is in the way. All right, dummy. Maybe I will get the impact out. Let's get the impact out. Had I not already run this out once, I wouldn't be using this, but I know it's not stuck in there, so we'll go ahead and use this. Save our elbows and shit. How about that? Have I got my air turned on? Come on now. You can do it. Go. I did put 150 pounds of torque on that thing. All right. And of course, this has no no pre-tapped holes in that balancer to pull it, so I'm going to have to get out a different tool, a different puller, because I don't have the little claw type that'll get in behind there, so I have to go around the whole thing. Now there's a chance that thing might just pop off of there, or at least the front part of it. Well, I don't even know if it's one piece, so let's have a look. No. Alright, so let me get my puller, get that all set up, and we'll yank that thing off of there and go from there. A lot easier to clean that thing when it's off too. So let's get it off. Okay, so either I loaned out or lost my balancer puller with the little claw feet that hook in there. Can't find it anywhere. So if you don't have one of those and you just have a simple wheel type puller, like a steering wheel puller, you know, the Y-shaped puller, you can use that, and I'm going to show you how. So if you have some scrap laying around, will it focus? So just some scrap, some thicker scrap. This is like 3/16, just scrap chunks of metal, and it is drilled and tapped for a 3/8 16 thread bolt. So it's just a big flat nut, and what you do is you slide this back behind there, you slide your bolt through your pulley, thread it in, and it just acts like a big nut and to pull it off of there. Now If you have trouble and it starts to bend this, then you got bigger problems and you need to go and find your balancer puller. But this is how you do it. This is how I would do it. And you know, you can make a puller out of just about anything. We used to make, my dad and I used to make pullers out of just flat stock metal we had laying around, drill and tap. You know, we had various things we were pulling apart that required a puller, and you'd have to go and buy a puller set for everything that we were trying to do. So we made our own. You just drill and tap and use various lengths and size of bolts, and you got to make it. We made custom pullers for just about everything we pulled off. So let me get this thing hooked up down here, and we'll get this puller loose, or this pulley loose. Okay, so you can see we got our pulley on down there, and the toughest part of that is just trying to line up those pieces of flat stock with the bolt. And I like to use a carriage bolt, so you don't have to try to thread it in too much, as long as you get it kind of close to even so that it pulls the pulley off straight. Carriage bolt just has a bigger head on it, so rather than try to use washers and stuff and things falling everywhere, I just try to use a carriage bolt where I can. What we're going to do is we're just going to tighten this in and see if it'll start to pull that thing off of there. And I'm using a crappy old adjustable wrench just to get a little bit more leverage. So usually when it just starts to pull, it'll generally pull right off, and then you can get a smaller tool. Now we're either going to pull this thing off, or it's going to bend the crap out of my pieces of flat stock back there, or could break the pulley, could break the puller, could strip everything out. That was a promising noise. Generally it just pops and starts to pull, and that's what it's doing. So I'm going to switch to a ratchet wrench. Squeak. Let me get this off here. I'll show you what I'm talking about on the back of this thing. And that came off actually surprisingly easy. I thought we'd have a whole lot more trouble with it. Out of the seal. We are past the seal. Ouch. These same steps that I'm doing here is the same thing you would do more or less if you're doing on a better engine, if you're doing an in-chassis rebuild. Just taking everything apart and leaving it on the motor mounts. The bad part, well, there's several reasons why you don't want to do that in my opinion, but one of them is getting to the freeze plugs. Putting new plugs in it, new water jacket plugs, whatever you want to call it. There it is. Can you see that? See those pieces of flat stock? They just push against the, hold it like a big washer or a big nut back there, and just pulls it flat out. So there we are. Put this down. Key is still in the crank, which is good. So there you go. That's off. Now it's a matter of, well, that front mount is hooked to it as well. It's hooked through the timing cover as well. And that's going to take a lot of cleaning up and making a mess to get that to where we can do anything with it. So I'm going to shut you off. I'm going to clean some stuff up here, see if I can't break them bolts loose, and then we'll pull this thing off together to have a look at that timing chain set. Okay, all right, I'll be back. All right, that's cleaned up a little bit. So had I done my research, which I normally do, it would have been obvious to me that the front mount does go through the timing cover. So I'm going to go ahead and take that loose and see if with the transmission and the drive shaft in, if the front of the motor will stay up without that support in there. And if it will, then we can continue what we're doing until such time as we can. And because we got to get a couple, I know that there's at least 2 oil pan bolts that go through up into that timing cover. I think there's just 2. So we shouldn't have to take the pan down or empty it. But we'll see. I don't know. Never done one of these before, so obviously I didn't know off the top of my head that the front mount went through the timing cover. Don't like that design. That means if you got to change your timing set, you got to pull the front mount off. So anyway, we're going to anyway. And let me get set up and get those loose. We'll get it cracked off of there, and we'll see what happens when we do that. Hopefully the engine stays where it's at. All right, get back with you. So the answer is yes. Or no, however I said it, I don't remember. To the question, will that engine stay put? And the answer is no. Of course it wanted to drop. That's why the mount is there. And sometimes we have to do things we don't like to do under normal conditions, and that is we don't like to put a piece of 2x4 and a jack under the oil pan so that we can jack the front of the engine up a little bit to get that mount out of there, and then crib up the front of the engine with a piece of 2x4 between the block and the cross member. We don't normally like to do that, but in order to get that timing chain and everything off of there, well, that's what we had to do. So we're kind of in a pickle. I'm not really scared about getting underneath the motor with it like that, because it can't fall through. But you know, we're really, why put that back on there before the engine is fully rebuilt? So I think we're in the position now, a point of no return, where we're not going to get our 100 miles in, because we're having to pull too much stuff off of this engine just to get it back to where it could run in the condition that it's in. And that's just silly to do that at this point, since I'm sure that block needs completely flushed. So having said that, I think what we will do is we will just continue to pull stuff off. We'll get those heads off of there to reduce some of the weight. We will pull that drive shaft back out of there. We'll drain the fluid out of the pan, and we will just now start working towards pulling that motor out. And now we're actually on to plan B, which is we're starting the restoration. So, and the first step in doing that, for my money, is we've got to get this motor and transmission out, sit this thing back down on the ground, roll it outside, start pulling body parts off of it, and so forth. So I'm just going to start rolling on this timing cover and get it off of there, get under there and get a couple of those, get those pan bolts, those oil pan bolts out from underneath there, maybe start draining that fluid, and we're just going to go. We're going to rip on it. So sit back and watch and enjoy, and hopefully we don't jack too much stuff up. I'm trying to get this thing out of here, and we'll get that engine pulled. We may drop it, roll it back so that we can get the get the hoist under here. I'm not sure we got room up front to do that, so we're gonna have to do some maneuvering here in the shop and get ourselves readjusted for what we're going to do going forward. So let's get at it. Okay, so I've got the 2 oil pan bolts out that go up into the timing cover. I'm really hoping that we can get that timing cover off past whatever front seal is on there. We'll see. So we'll start pulling these bolts out to get that pump and cover off of there and see what we got underneath there. If we can get it, all of them, without having to do too much more cleaning. Here's one I missed. Getting the crap off of it. Looks like we've got a little tab there. What's that all about? Maybe it's just rust. Anyway, front seal. We will find out. Oops, just a bunch right there. That's making a mess on down there. I pulled my pan out of the way. You know what? We better put that back. Actually, better put that pan back under there in case we have some spillage again. See if that's got us. That's a little too far forward. There, what to do? All right. Grandpa here been growing around. Ouch. That's fun. Get myself on that timing mark, and I will not like that. Guaranteed. No, now. Quit switching sizes on me. That can't be, but 1, 2, 3, 4. That can't be right. Oh my God. Man, that will get you, won't it? Ain't in the inside, is there? Negatory. Well, these I think are all different lengths. We will see. We are going to spill out everywhere, ain't we? Sit that there for now. Oh well, we ain't made a whole hell of a lot of mess right up till now, so why not? Do the same. This one appears that it might be a tick longer. Nope. And this bad boy. Well, I missed any? Yep. All right, we'll have to move the light. This too. require a little cleaning. Shouldn't. Looks good. Looks all right. Coming out clean with oil on it. That good or bad? Another shorty. Let this bad boy right in there. Think that's all of them. Out. Nothing on the inside. That's weird, ain't it? Just a whole lot of crap. Maybe there is one in there. Look through the grill, see. See nothing. Let's see if it'll pop. I could refer to my manual. Yeah, it's coming. Pry. A little bit at a time. I know I'm filling that pan full of crap too. Probably destroying that seal, but I don't care. Just don't damage the mating surface here. Oops. In there. Big reveal, you can probably see it already. Holy crap. Yep, that's heavy. We'll have a closer look at that in a minute. All right, here we go. That is a rusted up, although not too dang bad, timing set. I mean, I would never run it like that, but it's not, doesn't look like the Titanic, right? Yep, there's some gasket laying in there. And a water passage. Yeah. Yep. Yep. Sorry about that. Forgot I had you. So yeah, that's nasty enough that she's just not gonna go back together like that. So we shall continue on. So I don't know, maybe it's a better idea to pull the motor with the heads on it. Maybe not. I mean, we're going to spill crap everywhere anyway. So I'm just going to have to, I'm going to have to think on that a minute. I'm going to have to give that a think. And see if we can't do something about supporting that engine better than a 2x4 down there. So that we can roll the car back to get the hoist under it. Because we are loaded up with a pile of crap here. I've been working on some electric motors. Got tools laying everywhere still from doing hardwood floor. These are my hopefully someday to be rotisserie project. Still got carburetor and generator crap laying around. I've been monkeying around with some electric motors and fans. Squirrel cages there. Fixing my table saw. Trying to get another year or two out of it. So I had to buy a bearing kit. And my dust collection system, I just got everything about half in the middle of it. And it's driving me nuts. I need to stick to a project. And before you know it, gardening season's going to be on us. And I'm going to be messing with that. So I did get a couple new wall hangers from Uncle Leroy. Got me a nice 4-leaf clover horseshoe set up there. That was in his old Amish barn and one of his old hay hooks. That tire tool came out of the back of this car. A couple more motors and crap. So yeah, I've got a mess. So I think at this point it's time to start cleaning some crap up and getting us to a point where we got some room to move around in here. Do some sweeping so we don't grind any of this old oil and grease into the concrete. So I think that's next on the agenda. I'll have to find a home for a bunch of stuff. Start cleaning up so we can go to plan B and pulling things apart. Need to start documenting some stuff a little bit better as we go here too, because I got bolts laying everywhere. So I need to bag them up, mark them, bag them and tag them, as they say. Get ourselves in a little bit more of an organized mess than the unorganized mess that we have now. So let's quit it there, and I'll get back with you when we're on a new little piece of it and when we got some more room, and we'll get back on it. So, oh, let's take a look at that water pump real quick. Or timing cover rather, the back of it. You can see it's all sludged up on the water passages there. But besides that, it ain't cracked or nothing. It looks fine. It's a reuser. We'll put some new fittings in there, some new pipes. That freeze plug ain't even rusted out, but it looks just fine. So we'll reuse that one, obviously, clean it up. So I think we're okay there. Timing cover anyway, the water pump. She's a goner. We'll check out that fuel/vacuum pump. No reason why it can't be rebuilt. I'm sure they sell rebuild kits for them. I hope they do. Let's hope. All right. Well, I'll get back with you later.